David is gone, my husband, and I can hardly breathe, knowing he died from undiagnosed stomach cancer. I should be planning our anniversary, not his funeral. A life cut tragically short because of missed signs. I can't shake the feeling I failed him. I remember him, vibrant and full of life, in our kitchen. The rich, warm scent of gourmet coffee filled the air as he carefully brewed his morning ritual, his infectious laughter echoing through the room. "In 5 years, Jess," he'd declare, a wide grin on his face, "my coffee shop will be the talk of the town." His dream was so clear, so tangible. As a nurse, I had absolute faith in the healthcare system, believing its processes would always protect us. That profound trust formed the bedrock of my confidence. If you're watching this, subscribe, and tell me where you're listening from. Then, one March evening in 2022, after a seemingly normal dinner, everything changed. David suddenly gripped his abdomen, his face pale and clammy, a wave of severe nausea and discomfort sweeping over him. "Just indigestion," he murmured, trying to brush it off, but I saw the pain in his eyes. This was more than stress. I insisted we seek medical help. David doubled over, a pained gasp escaping him. His face was clammy, streaked with sweat as he struggled for breath. "Thompson Medical Center now," I urged, grabbing his car keys. The frantic drive blurred through the evening rush. Inside the emergency department, a pervasive antiseptic smell hung heavy, mixing with the low hum of monitors from distant rooms. An hour later, a young resident stepped in, clipboard in hand. His name tag read, Dr. Miller. He barely made eye contact, his demeanor brisk. "What brings you in, Mr. Thompson?" David, still pale, managed. "Stomach pain, nausea. Can't keep anything down. Any recent changes?" Dr. Miller asked, tapping his pen. "He's dropped almost 10 pounds this month," I interjected, my nursing instincts flaring. That kind of weight loss wasn't nothing. Dr. Miller scribbled. He pressed lightly on David's abdomen. "Common indigestion. Sounds like gastritis, inflammation of the stomach lining. Probably stress-related. We see it a lot." He assured us the weight loss was likely a temporary side effect of not eating well, nothing to worry about. He prescribed antacids and advised rest. A wave of relief washed over me. A diagnosis, a path forward. Yet a knot tightened in my stomach. The dismissal of David's weight loss felt too quick. As we walked back to our SUV, David leaned against me, exhausted. The fluorescent lights of the hospital entrance hummed, a stark contrast to the quiet unease growing inside me. That night, David struggled to sleep. His nausea persisted. The initial relief had evaporated, leaving only the cold certainty that something was still very wrong. March 15th, 2022. After David's sudden abdominal grip, the Thompson Medical Center ER was a blur. Dr. Miller, barely making eye contact, brushed off David's symptoms as common indigestion, probably stress-related, despite a 10-pound weight drop. He prescribed antacids. My nursing instincts screamed, but relief for a diagnosis quieted me. 6 days later, on March 21st, David was admitted to Northland General Hospital Oncology Department. By Tuesday, a dull, persistent ache in his abdomen replaced the nausea. His abdominal pain assessment score, APAS, sat at a concerning 6. I politely questioned Nurse Matt Collins. "He's still barely eating. Is the weight loss acceptable?" Matt checked David's chart, shrugging slightly. "It's transient, Mrs. Thompson. These things take time to resolve after stress." Medical assistant Samantha noted David's struggle to eat, but her quiet concerns were soon overshadowed. 2 days later, on Thursday, March 24th, David's nausea intensified, giving way to wrenching vomiting spells. His APAS spiked to 7, documented by Matt. "He's actively suffering," I firmly insisted to Dr. Linda Harris, David's oncologist, during her hurried rounds. "This isn't just discomfort. He needs imaging now." Dr. Harris barely paused, scanning his chart. "This is likely normal post-operative discomfort, Mrs. Thompson. We see it often." Her tone was authoritative. A brief, deceptive moment of false hope followed. David kept down a few sips of water, and a nurse mentioned a slight improvement. I wanted to believe it, but a deep unease persisted as the weekend approached and the ward grew visibly emptier. By Saturday, March 26th, David was fading. His abdomen was visibly distended, clammy, and his breathing shallow. The APAS soared to 8. "Please?" I begged a passing resident, desperation clawing at my throat. "Look at him. He's dying. He can't eat. He's in agony. He's not responsive." My voice, thick with terror, seemed lost in the quiet hum of the understaffed weekend ward. Dr. Harris, appearing briefly, dismissed his state as escalated anxiety symptoms before rushing to another patient. Notes from the prior shift detailing David's worsening pain had been lost in a chaotic handoff, a systemic failure glaringly apparent. Suddenly, a wave of acute, searing pain seized David. His eyes rolled back. Monitors shrieked, a piercing final declaration. David lay there, fading. His breath grew shallow. His abdomen was distended, clammy to the touch. The abdominal pain assessment score had been an 8 for hours, a flashing red warning. I begged a passing resident, desperation clawing at my throat. "Please, look at him. He's dying. He can't eat. He's in agony." My voice, thick with terror, seemed lost in the understaffed weekend ward. Dr. Harris had dismissed his state as escalated anxiety earlier. Suddenly, a wave of acute, searing pain seized David. His eyes rolled back. The heart monitor shrieked a piercing final declaration. "Code blue!" a nurse yelled. Nurses and residents flooded the room, a blur of scrubs and urgent movements. I stood frozen by his bedside, a cold dread gripping my chest. They worked frantically, hands pumping, machines whirring, a chorus of urgent commands. I watched, helpless. The monitor flatlined. The frantic movements slowed. A doctor, face grim, shook his head. He was gone. My David, my love, snatched away. All our dreams silenced. My knees buckled. I slumped to the floor, the cold linoleum biting into my skin, the piercing silence deafening after the chaos. The world tilted. The next few days blurred into a haze of disbelief and crushing silence. Weeks after David's funeral, the silence in our home on 1823 Oak Drive in Riverside, California, was deafening. I sat at our kitchen table, now a cold, stark surface, surrounded by the findings of the state-sponsored inquiry led by Dr. Elizabeth Grant, a medical oversight officer. Page after page, a timeline of David's last days unfolded, revealing a stark, devastating truth. The review meticulously reconstructed the events, painting a picture I couldn't unsee. On March 22, 2022, at 10 a.m., David was struggling with severe vomiting. His abdominal pain assessment score, APAS, registered a 7. This score, far exceeding the critical threshold of 5, should have triggered immediate imaging according to the hospital's gastrointestinal protocol. Instead, Nurse Matt Collins did nothing, leaving David to suffer in his room at Northland General. The protocol, designed for early intervention, lay unheeded. Then, on March 23, 2022, at 3:15 p.m., David's abdominal pain escalated to an 8 on the APAS. Medical assistant Samantha noted this alarming change in his chart. The escalating pain, a clear indicator of worsening condition, demanded urgent medical attention. Yet, Dr. Linda Harris, David's oncologist, overrode Samantha's concerns, dismissing it as normal post-operative discomfort. My husband's cries for help were silenced by authority. By March 24, 2022, 11:00 a.m., David's severe weight loss and inability to eat flagged another critical warning. These were classic red flags for advanced stomach cancer, a condition that demanded the gastrointestinal protocol for immediate imaging. But staff hesitated. They failed to escalate his care due to internal hierarchies, afraid to challenge a senior physician. They knew, but they didn't act. A cold certainty settled in my chest. David hadn't just gotten sick. He was systematically ignored. My breath caught, my hands trembling as I grasped the pages. Every missed opportunity screamed at me. That crushing guilt I carried, the feeling I had failed him, It transformed. My jaw tightened. Grief still echoed, but a fierce, undeniable anger surged through me, a molten river. The symptoms I saw, the ones I knew deep down were serious, were clear signs of a rapidly progressing illness. David needed immediate imaging, a proper diagnosis, not dismissals. This wasn't just a mistake. It was negligence. I slammed the report shut. This couldn't happen to anyone else. No more innocent lives lost because of bypassed protocols or ignored patient distress. I would fight. I would demand David's rule, a new policy to mandate immediate imaging for escalating GI symptoms and weight loss. I would hold them accountable. This was my purpose now. The sterile conference room at the State Medical Board felt miles from our home on 1823 Oak Drive. On April 15, 2022, just weeks after David's funeral, the state-sponsored inquiry began. Dr. Elizabeth Grant, a no-nonsense medical oversight officer, presided. Her voice, calm but firm, cut through the tension. Mrs. Thompson, please state for the record what you observed on March 22, 2022. My hands gripped the table. David was violently ill. His abdominal pain assessment score, his APAS, was a 7. The hospital's own gastrointestinal protocol stated that required immediate imaging. I referenced the report. Nurse Collins ignored it. He just left David to suffer. Later, I recounted March 23rd. His pain escalated to an 8. Samantha, the medical assistant, noted it, but Dr. Harris overrode her. Called it normal post-operative discomfort. My husband was screaming for help. My voice remained steady, despite the tremor in my chest. The staff responses were stark. Dr. Linda Harris, David's oncologist, sat stiffly. We followed standard procedures to the best of our ability, she stated, her words carefully chosen. Patient discomfort is subjective. We relied on the latest lab results. She dismissed a lack of imaging as a clinical judgment call. Nurse Matt Collins, though, looked haunted. I should have pushed harder, he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. I saw his pain. I was concerned, but Dr. Harris was very clear on the plan. He shrugged, a defeated gesture. I didn't want to seem incompetent. Northland General Hospital's legal team presented a prepared statement. It expressed deepest condolences, but minimized systemic failures, emphasizing the complexities of critical patient care. They spoke of unforeseeable complications, deflecting any direct accountability. Then, medical assistant Samantha stepped forward. I documented everything, she told Dr. Grant, her gaze meeting mine. His pain, his inability to eat, the weight loss. I raised my concerns repeatedly. She provided internal notes, her handwriting detailing her frustrations, charting David's decline with an empathy strikingly absent in official records. Her meticulous documentation, previously overshadowed, now formed a crucial backbone to our case. Weeks passed. On May 10, 2022, the official findings were released. The inquiry concluded David's death was preventable. It cited systemic neglect, critical flaws in symptom evaluation, and direct violations of Northland General's gastrointestinal protocol. Key failures included ignoring the elevated APAS scores and failing to order imaging. The report hit the media like a tidal wave. "Hospital negligence exposed," screamed headlines. Local news ran segments featuring my tearful pleas for justice. Social media exploded with stories of similar medical oversights. Professional medical organizations called for stricter adherence to protocols. The community rallied, demanding change. Under relentless public and media pressure, Northland General Hospital issued a new statement. It acknowledged lapses in communication and areas where our internal protocols were not fully executed. They committed to comprehensive reviews and enhanced training. A crack had appeared in their defensive facade, forced open by the undeniable truth. This was the tipping point. David's rule was no longer just a distant dream. Months later, the echoes of David's laughter still filled our home on 1823 Oak Drive, Riverside, California, though now only in my memories. By July 2022, after relentless advocacy, David's rule, was officially enacted across all acute care hospitals in California. This new policy mandates immediate imaging for any patient with escalating abdominal pain and significant weight loss. It enforces regular training programs for staff on early warning sign recognition and assigns clear responsibility to nursing staff for continuous symptom evaluation and escalation. The implementation began with a pilot program in July 2022, targeting full rollout by mid-2023 across the state. The California Department of Public Health allocated $200,000 for comprehensive staff training over the next 2 years. Families now possess the right to demand imaging for red flag gastrointestinal symptoms. Healthcare staff must report any significant changes to attending physicians immediately, with a mandated 3-hour response time for escalated concerns. Accountability is ensured through quarterly audits by the State Medical Board. Just weeks after its initial pilot, Sarah Jenkins, a patient in Sacramento, avoided a late-stage diagnosis of pancreatic cancer due to timely imaging triggered by David's rule. This policy prevented a tragedy, a life saved. Yet resource strain remains a significant hurdle, with staffing shortages persisting in some rural areas. Northland General Hospital, for its part, implemented new communication software and hired 2 additional oversight nurses. Standing in our kitchen, where David once brewed his gourmet coffee, I felt a flicker of pride. His legacy lives on, saving lives. But that pride is always shadowed by the crushing absence of his presence. I hear his laughter in the quiet, a bittersweet melody, a constant reminder of the life we lost. 20 months have blurred since David's laughter faded from our home on 1823 Oak Drive in Riverside, California. Today, he'd be turning 40, probably planning a weekend trip to a new national park, coffee thermos in hand. The silence in the kitchen still echoes, a stark reminder of his absence. I live with it now, a nurse turned fierce advocate, my trust in healthcare shattered, but my resolve unshaken. I still smell the rich, warm scent of gourmet coffee he'd brew each morning, a ritual that anchored his days and filled our home with life. David, my vibrant husband, gone too soon. Across the U.S., countless families face similar tragedies. Hundreds of thousands of lives are impacted by medical oversights each year, many from preventable conditions. His fate should have been different. Remember these warning signs: persistent nausea and vomiting, unexplained and significant weight loss, escalating abdominal pain that won't quit, and a sudden inability to eat. These aren't just minor complaints. They demand immediate attention. My advocacy journey began with a simple yet critical mission: empower patients and families. Document everything. Insist on immediate imaging if symptoms escalate. Demand a second opinion. Know your rights and the hospital's protocols. Don't be afraid to escalate concerns directly to a charged nurse or hospital administrator. Your voice matters. Today, David's rule is saving lives across California. It mandates immediate imaging for critical GI symptoms, a policy that directly prevented a late-stage pancreatic cancer diagnosis for Sarah Jenkins in Sacramento. Resource strain is still a hurdle, but progress is undeniable. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and share your story in the comments. I see him still, twirling around our kitchen on Sunday mornings, laughing as he flips pancakes, the air thick with maple syrup and his infectious joy. He's dancing, full of life, not a patient in a sterile hospital room, but my husband, vibrant and whole.